On this episode, we give tips and tricks to beat the heat at Walt Disney World, Universal Orlando Resort, and beyond. Today is May 12th, 2023. This is episode 564 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I am your host, Jeremy Stein, and in just a few moments, I will definitely be joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda. But first, make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic. If you've not done so already, head out to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. Then if you hit that subscribe button, you're going to get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And we know that planning a trip to Disneyland or Walt Disney World can be overwhelming and at times just downright frustrating. But don't worry, because Mouse Dining removes the frustration of booking Disney dining reservations, alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. You can visit msmfriends.com to use this free service. So it has been a very busy week here in the Main Street Magic household. Rhonda has been working her normal 12-hour shifts Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'm trying to get way ahead of the game with my work and the new podcast that I am producing. So I've been quite busy as well. So we are trying to knock out this recording on Wednesday because on Thursday, May 11th, we are heading down for lunch at Le Cellier, then moving on to hang out at Coronado Springs, hit Magic Kingdom on Friday, before coming home to a busy Mother's Day weekend, and then I'm back in Orlando Monday and Tuesday to see my brother as he is speaking down there at a conference. All that being said, I'm knocking out the intro a little bit more while Rhonda's at work, and then when she gets home this evening, we will go ahead and record the episode. So with all that being said, I did want to give you a few updates. Now, we normally are not a news show, and we only kind of discuss the news when it seems very relevant. But if you're not on social media, you're not in our Facebook group, I did want to talk a little bit about these 5 updates coming in 2024 that Disney's saying will make your visit easier. The first one is that they are removing theme park reservations for date-based tickets. So starting with park visits on January 9th, 2024, theme park reservations will no longer be required for those of you with date-based tickets. Number 2, good-to-go days. These are days when annual pass holders and cast members will not need theme park reservation. So while theme park reservations will continue to be required for certain admission types, such as cast members, annual pass holders, in 2024, they plan to offer select days in which APs and cast members may visit Walt Disney World theme parks without needing a park reservation. So good-to-go days may vary by park, and pass blockout dates and capacity limitations continue to apply like they do today. Those two are very confusing, not so much confusing for the date-based tickets, but it is pretty confusing for annual pass holders and cast members. As more information comes to light, we will obviously share it and discuss it further, but I just wanted to give you these 5 bullet points for now. Next, Disney dining plans are finally coming back. Disney Resort hotel guests who purchase a vacation package starting with stays beginning January 9th, 2024 will have the option to add the Disney Quick Service Dining Plan or the Disney Dining Plan. We have no other info. Again, we will share once we do. More park time for Disney Resort hotel guests. Early theme park entry for all Disney Resort hotel guests and extended evening hours for guests staying at Disney Deluxe Resorts and Disney Deluxe Villas will continue through 2024. Finally, what I think we've all been waiting for, what everyone has been asking for since FastPass Plus went away, plan ahead with Disney Genie Plus service. Disney's working on ways to help guests plan with Disney Plus service and individual Lightning Lane selections before their visit so they can spend more time with friends and family in the park. Bookings for 2024 visits will open on May 31st, 2023, so in just a few weeks. Make sure you hit up Chuck for a free quote at mainstmagictravel.com. Again, wanted to get that news out there in case you had not heard it already. As we get more details, we will obviously share them across our social media platforms at mainstmagic, in the Main Street Magic community on Facebook, and we will talk about them here on the podcast and give our thoughts and direction the best that we can. All right, so now on with the show, and Rhonda is here.
Hey,
Welcome.
guys.
There it is. There's the hey, guys. Everybody was waiting for in the intro. So we are ready to get into ways to beat the heat down in Central Florida, Walt Disney World, Universal Studios, and beyond. So this is going to update a little bit from last year, but I think this is a very important topic, very important tips and tricks.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. We are in the middle of May now, and it is already starting to get extremely hot. In fact, the average highs for May are 88 degrees with lows of 69. In June, you're going to top out an average of 91 degrees with lows at 73. July, 92, lows of 75. August, 91, lows of 75. And then running all the way in through September, which we usually feel seems to be the hottest month, with highs of 89.
Really?
and
Only
lows of
89?
74.
Yeah, because it does always feel hotter.
It does. And one thing we'll say, with any of these, the average days of rain are anywhere from 9 days, up to 11, 13, 14 days. And rain can sometimes be a factor in helping you beat the heat because it will help it cool it off.
Absolutely. 100%.
But if you are new to Central Florida area, Florida in general, and you are coming from a place that does not have much humidity, that is something you really want to take into account because these are just the high temperatures, Rhonda. That means nothing as far as feels like, right?
Yes, that's true.
What does feels like even mean? Because I know back in Maryland, a lot of times if it was 89 degrees, it felt like 89 degrees. Not so much the case in Florida.
Right. Usually your feels like are up into sometimes the hundreds, especially when you're into the 90s.
Yeah.
Your definitely feels like 100.
Correct. So let's go ahead and give people ways that they can beat the heat in Central Florida. And let's start with packing for the heat. So this is before your trip even starts, leading up to your trip. Sometimes up till the day before. We always say check the weather, up until your trip pretty much and pack some last minute items. But these are all things that if you're coming down here during the summertime, you're going to be packing weeks before. And what is the number one thing that you make sure you pack?
Please do, because every park and resort has it, but they are a little more expensive, but it is sunscreen for your body, your face, your lips. I actually just went to the dentist recently, and when he was checking everything, they did all the scan and they checked me for cancer. And he literally did the lip thing, and he even said, he was like, "Are you wearing sunscreen?" And I was like, "Oh my goodness." I'm like, yeah, I started getting some. And so anyways, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong, but he did notice some damage, and I was like, wow, okay. So yeah.
What do you recommend? I mean, everybody has kind of their favorite, I think, sunscreens in general.
Yeah. I actually love the glow that the Disney sells. It is just expensive. You can get it on Amazon for a little cheaper.
Yeah.
I love how it does kind of glisten and whatever. For me, it is sparkly.
Not so much for me. I looked like one of the vampires from Twilight when I had to use it at the last minute because we had forgotten sunscreen, to be honest.
Yes.
And like for us, just most recently, we can pick it up at Costco for a lot cheaper. Like
I
Rhonda
personally
said.
like Hawaiian Tropics, but apparently what is Sun Bum is supposed to be really good and popular. And then actually they have a lot of different SPF lip balms.
So you use a special SPF lip balm, and then you also use special face and something for tattoos to protect, correct?
Yes.
What are the different types of, because that's the thing too, you can just get there and you can just lather up in your Banana Boat 30 that you picked up at the local Walmart, and that is going to be better than nothing.
Oh,
but
100%.
there are definitely certain areas of your body that need better protection than others, right?
And I actually, so I have sunscreen in my BB cream that I wear, and I actually
What's
have.
That? Nobody knows what that is.
It's all the women do.
Okay.
It's not a actual like foundation, but it's this that protects my skin and makes me look, I don't know, makeup. But before that, I actually put an e.l.f. sunscreen on top of that, so I have double that. And then usually, with my tattoos, I've actually gotten like a stick, almost like it looks like deodorant.
Mm-hmm.
and it's an SPF 70, and I just take that and stick it all over my arm and make sure that I have those covered. But as Jeremy talked on our other episode of these tattoo sleeves.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or, I know a lot of people, our friend Max actually wears the long sleeve UV protected SPF swim shirts in the parks. You can get, long sleeve of those. Or like we said, if you need extra protection, these UV protected sleeves for your arms, things like that, and reapply during the day.
Yes.
I don't care if it says that it is sweat proof, it's waterproof.
Yeah.
That's only up to usually a certain amount of hours. Read the directions on the bottle, the label, whatever, and reapply. As Rhonda mentioned earlier, they are going to sell this at the resorts. It is going to be extremely expensive. I understand that if you are traveling from, out of town that is not driving distance and you're flying, sometimes packing maybe a whole bunch of sunscreen isn't going to be the easiest because you're really trying to save space, especially for someone that just wants to carry on. Vacation grocery delivery can get this for you from Publix when you're doing your regular vacation grocery delivery for your food, your snacks, everything for your resort. And that can go, honestly, with some of the additional items that maybe you forget.
Yeah.
What is something else that can really help protect you in the sun? I know I wear hats all the time.
Yes, you do.
In the parks now.
Yeah, I don't because I still wear my ears.
I'm thinning a little bit up top. So I'm just trying to protect the old head because you don't think about that when it comes to the sunscreen. I feel like unless you're just bald.
Yes.
Then you're hopefully lathering that sucker up. But wear a hat. A trucker hat's not going to do as much good because the sun will get through that. And
or a visor.
Your favorite, you go nowhere outside without them.
My sunglasses.
Yeah.
And again, I was told not to by a doctor. But anyways, I usually will wear some blenders, or actually I've been very particular to Ray-Bans lately, and I really like them.
Yeah.
We both have the Mickey ones, and then actually I got some new ones at Universal because they actually also took the pass holder. And I got them for a really decent price that I was very happy about.
Yeah, and again, just protect your eyes. You're protecting your skin, protecting your head, protect your eyes as well.
Yeah.
Something else you want to look at getting ahead of time is you really do want lightweight, quick drying clothing. It is hot out. You're going to sweat. You might get rained on. You might get wet from a water ride. And it's miserable being in wet clothing, especially hot wet clothing throughout the parks. So the quick drying helps, but what helps I think even more is making sure, and I've said this a lot of times, I usually tend to pack 2 full outfits per day.
I don't, but there's been times that I have definitely needed to freshen up after.
And we're going to mention later some of the ways to beat the heat once you're in the parks, and this being able to change clothing will certainly come into effect. Mentioned most recently on an episode that we have found, our friends Chuck and Amy recommended this 32 degrees cool line. They sell it at Costco. They have it on Amazon. They often have great sales on their website. This is everything from underwear to undershirts to shorts to, regular shirts, tank tops, men's, women's clothing. This stuff is super light. It is super comfortable, and it's going to dry super quick if it does get wet. Because that's the thing. You want breathable clothing when you're in the parks. It's not the time for your big baggy cargo shorts with 18 different pockets. It is going to be miserable. Wear something light. It's a good time to have a park bag to put your wallet and your phone in because you just want to wear some athletic shorts. Nike, Under Armour, whatever it may be, because they're going to be so much lighter than wearing a pair of Dockers or something, if that's what you normally wear at home, or big, thick T-shirts and things like that. There are some cooling accessories that you can pack. Other things that we recommend you get online prior, either at your get online at Amazon or at your local store. What are some of these items that we like to use?
Cooling towels, and you can get Disney ones on Amazon because we did, and misting fans. They do sell those at Disney, and if that's something you're like, oh, you know what, let's go ahead and get this, absolutely use that, and it would be worth it in my opinion.
Oh, sure. I don't think that's a bad spend. I mean, if you can get them ahead of time and you can get a Disney themed one ahead of time online, go for it. If not, wait and just know you're going to budget that for the parks.
Absolutely. And then of course, like fans, like these belt ones that Jeremy's talked about before, where you put it on and it kind of cools you down. It's a personal mini waist clip fan for $32 on Amazon. So
yeah, and these work great. They actually will clip onto your belt loop, and like I would wear it on my back, on my belt loop, and then there's a clip on the outside of it as well that you clip your shirt into. So it basically blows air up the back of your shirt against your skin and works really, really well. Little tip, if you go back to the misting fans, fill it with ice and then put water in it, because it's going to keep it cool for so much longer.
Yeah.
You just fill it with straight water out of the sink in your room, or once you get to a park, it's going to be less than an hour, and you're just basically spraying room temperature or hot water on yourself. So if you can fill it with ice first, again, back at your resort, get a cup of ice from any of the quick services, and make sure you have really, really good, cool water in there.
Yeah.
It's going to rain, isn't it, Rhonda?
Yeah, probably. Probably 90% chance.
Now, this isn't necessarily, we talked about this, about what to do when it rains in Central Florida, and this isn't necessarily a way to beat the heat, but this is going to help you from being in that, hot, damp clothing, and that's disposable ponchos.
Yes.
We always say, get them online, get them from Dollar General. CVS sells them in packs. They're great because once you're done with it, just throw it in the garbage and use a new one the next time. You don't have to drop $15-$20 on these fancy ones from Disney that you're going to shove in a bag. And
they're not that fancy because it's hard, because you shove it in the bag, and then unfortunately, if you don't get them out, then they start to stink.
Yes.
The only fancy ones you want to buy are actual rain jackets.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting a regular rain jacket, you're going to take a lot more care of that than a poncho.
Yes.
I feel like. So, all right, you have now packed for your trip.
Yay!
You're all prepared. You get down to Florida, and you're doing everything we said, and you're like, it is still hot as all get out here. What do I do now? Number one, when you are in the parks, I will say this really comes to play if you're drinking alcoholic beverages, especially. What's our number one? Let's just get right to it.
Stay hydrated, because we have unfortunately seen numerous of people pass out because of the heat and they are not hydrated. It almost happened to our daughter.
Yeah.
So stay hydrated, drink your water. Jeremy and I buy and have the HydraSpark bottles that actually are Bluetooth and tell us like when to drink. And I drink a bottle every single morning with my collagen in it, and then I try to move on to then drinking and adding through the parks and going, all right, well, I got my first bottle down. That's 17 ounces. Let's, add, 8 ounces here, 8 ounces there, and make sure I am drinking all my water. Another good way is to freeze bottles so you can use a cooler or whatever, or carry them in. Now they do make backpack coolers, which I would suggest if you're going to do that, because once these bottles start unfreezing and the water, it's got to go somewhere, so it's going to drip all out your backpack. If you're regular like Loungefly or whatever. So if you're going to do that, I would suggest one of those backpack coolers.
Yeah. And, that's going to come into a lot more play if you're in a off property that has a full size kitchen, or if you're in one of the DVC properties. I know all the values in the moderates and the standard deluxe rooms do not have those larger refrigerators with freezers, but it is something we even do like on the way down. Is like, I've got right now our freezer, obviously we're local. We'll drive down tomorrow morning. Is filled with frozen water bottles. We'll use that to actually pack the cooler to take down to keep regular waters frozen, but then we will drink those waters or use them. Neither one of us is a doctor, if that comes by any surprise to anyone, but yeah, you can get dehydrated so quick with almost out notice. You can pass out, almost without notice. So if you just constantly drink all day, and I believe it is for whatever your weight is, divide that in half, and that's the number of ounces you should be drinking throughout the day. So that's why we love these HydraSpark bottles, because they will actually track it for you throughout the day.
So
another good measure, everybody wants to drink around the world, not Epcot, and that's fun. You do you, but here's what I would do. In between every alcoholic beverage, just drink a water.
Yeah.
And, like we said, Connections Cafe, you can go over there and you can get free water out of the fountain.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can go to any quick service and get free ice water.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you're just sitting there and you're drinking it, right out of that cup, or you're transferring it to one of your water bottles, go ahead and make sure you're doing that.
Or if you can't and you're drinking your water bottle that you brought because you don't like Florida water, take the free ice and water and maybe pour it on you. Or,
yeah, you certainly could.
That'll
keep you cool.
Yeah.
And we said before too, they make actual Brita water bottles that you could take into the park with a water filter in it. And I'm sure plenty of other brands, but you could still get that Florida water that people seem to hate so much and pour it in that Brita and still have nice ice cold filtered water throughout the day. But this is seriously like the number one tip. I think number 2 is take breaks.
Mm-hmm.
This is where that change of clothes comes into play as well. Here it is going between like 2 and 4 to 5 p.m. can often be the hottest.
Yes.
I was out yesterday. I think I walked to check the mail around 1 and I'm like, it's getting pretty warm out here. I went back to go at 4 and I was like, I'm going to die. Like it was insane to me how much hotter it felt at 4 in the afternoon when you would think that's when you start to see the trend go down.
And usually, yes.
Also, a lot of times it's not as regular as it used to be. This is when the afternoon thunderstorms will come through. So it's a good time to maybe take a break back at your hotel.
Yeah.
If you don't have time to do that, where else can you take breaks at, Rhonda? You're not going to leave the park.
Well, go sit down for a meal.
Mm-hmm.
You could go shopping, which is always fun.
Always
my
in the AC.
favorite.
Yep.
Yes. You can go to a show maybe you haven't seen. Go and if it's like, it's a 10-minute wait until this, or it's a 15-minute. Okay, that's fine because you're in the show building anyways, and it's cooler, and you're starting to like just kind of relax, and that's nice.
This is the great time for maybe you're just thinking, well, I don't really care much about PhilharMagic or the Tiki Room, or things like that, or I think the Seas show over at Animal Kingdom is just too long. Go ahead and take that break.
Yeah,
and again, this is the time to plan these things between like 2 and 4 or 5 or something like that. Either whether you're doing a late lunch or an early dinner, even it's a good time for that.
Or if you saw a line that was kind of longer, but it's more of an inside queue, go ahead and get in that line and know that, I'm going to wait, but it's inside. So at least you're going to wait inside. Like Toy Story Mania.
Yes.
Like, all right, well, this is a 45-minute wait. Well,
it's 45 minutes I can be inside in the AC cooling
and then
down.
It's
and
kind of like,
a
what
break.
else are you going to do? / maybe, just kind of get inside and get out of the sun, get out of the heat.
Yeah. And we all know that the queue for Midway Mania is the only place you're getting air conditioning in Toy Story Land. So that's the time to maybe go and do it, is this middle of the afternoon when it's getting super duper hot. Along with water, something else that can cool you down. It's time for those Mickey bars.
Yes.
It's time to get ice cream. It's time for a frozen drink.
Ooh.
Use those. Again, save them for these hottest times in the afternoon to go ahead and do that and cool everyone down. I will say this might be a time where, you do take a little break at, maybe you get your Mickey bar and you shop. So you're inside the air conditioning with your Mickey bar.
Yeah, because unfortunately, too, it has been so hot in Florida. Those Mickey bars will melt so quick.
They go quick. And something I'll say that we do this all the time at the ice cream truck in Animal Kingdom, and they'll do this. Any of the soft serve ice cream is ask them for a cup.
Yeah.
And I know everybody wants to hold their cone and, just eat ice cream out of a cone like it was intended. But sometimes you just got to turn that sucker upside down in a little paper bowl and just eat it with the spoon because it's going to melt everywhere. Going to create a huge mess, and it's just not as good when it gets all melty all over your hands and everything. So get a bowl, turn it upside down. It is a good time to do what else, and this especially during your break if it's not raining.
Oh, yeah. And thundering and lightning. Because if it's
plan
raining,
tomorrow,
it'd be
I can
fine.
tell you that much.
Yes. Enjoy the pool or water parks.
Yeah.
We are going to try to enjoy the pool. Again, if it doesn't thunder. Because really, even if it rains, it just, depending when it's hot out, if it's just a Florida, not storm, but rain, you're fine to still be outside in the
enjoyable.
pool.
It's honestly
Yeah.
enjoyable to be in the pool during a Florida afternoon light rain.
Right.
Yeah, without that thunder lightning where they're
Yep.
going to keep it open, not
Yep.
shut it down, is actually really, really nice.
It is.
Because there are times, I mean, we can get to the summer, and now it's a little bit different because the pool temperatures are averaging out a little bit more the way that Disney's helping to control them. But still, you can sometimes get in pools in July and August in Florida, and it's like bath water.
Yes.
It's not refreshing at all.
Right.
You get a nice light rain, though.
Mhm.
It's not too bad.
100%.
As we mentioned, it's hottest in that mid-afternoon going into the evening time. So getting there early to the parks and leaving them at close are going to be your lowest temperatures. That's where sometimes in the morning, 75 degrees, you never knew it could feel so good. When you arrive at a park and it's still only 75 out, the humidity hasn't just kicked in yet, the sun isn't beating down. Because that's another thing, if you're not used to being down in Central Florida or again, anywhere that's closer to the equator, you sometimes don't realize that you feel the sun the way that you do. I mean, you can feel the heat on you. That's another thing with these feels like temps. It's 85 outside. The sun adds 5 degrees. The humidity adds 5 degrees. All of a sudden, it's 95 degrees feeling to you, and you're just confused because you didn't prepare for it. So be very, very aware of that. So that helps very much if you arrive early and then you leave very late.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Water rides are a great way to cool down.
So nice.
What are some opportunities? And these go anywhere from a little bit of a splishy splash, but it's just enough to feel good. And some of them are inside and air conditioned.
Yeah.
All the way down to some that'll get you downright drenched. And what rides do we have, Rhonda, at Disney World across all of the parks that you might get a splash or so?
Well, when finally Splash Mountain reopens to the new Tiana Bayou, that will be fun because you'll get wet on that ride. But that is not open. So ones that are, though, is actually might be a little surprising. Pirates of the Caribbean. You can sometimes get wet from the cannons and stuff. And I've literally gotten kind of pretty wet before.
Well, I mean, the initial drop, especially if you're in the front row, that drop will get you a little wet. But no, you're right. Those cannons. If you're right next to it, it can get you pretty good.
Yep.
What else do we have?
Magic carpet rides because the camel spitting.
Mm-hmm.
So
one time you actually want that thing to spit and hit you in the side of the head. Just
And
don't
almost
look
lose a
directly
contact.
at them in the eyes because you might lose a contact.
So you also have Frozen Ever After over in Epcot. It actually, like, lately, I think it was one time it was more winter. I had jeans on.
Yeah.
And I was like, when did Frozen become a wet ride? And I walked out of there wet. Now, thank God it was a more warmer day and I was not freezing, but it was just funny because...
And this one, I mean, along with Pirates, they tend to be more of a spritz, but it's exactly what you need.
Yeah.
Like we said before, sometimes you don't want to get drenched. You think you do.
Yeah.
But it's only a temporary cool down before you're just in hot, wet clothing. Yep. So these are usually really good for a nice little spritz.
Yeah. Cali River Rapids, of course. And then Casey Jr.'s Splash and Soak Station, and that is over
in Storybook Circus.
Yeah, okay.
And yes, this is made for children, but there's no reason as
we've
an
done
adult, you can't go stick your head under one of those little sprinklers spitting out at you.
I stuck my head to get my head wet because I was very hot and needed something. I felt I was starting to feel a little funny.
You can do a quick walkthrough, and that's going to help.
100%.
What do we have over at Universal Orlando Resort? Now, these tend to go on the much wetter side, especially when you first talk about the first two.
Popeye and Bluto's barges, and that really gets you.
I mean,
really wet.
Soaked. Absolutely soaked. From head to toe, you can wring out your clothing when it's over.
I didn't ride that one, but I did ride the next one. Dudley Do Right's Ripsaw Falls. And that was super fun. I was very wet.
Yes, this will get you pretty wet too.
Very wet, but I don't feel like it was like Popeye that you told me about.
Well, and this is a good time to have that change of clothing as well
Possibly,
in your
yeah.
bag, or to just say, hey, this is the last thing we're going to do before we're going to head back to the resort and change.
Yeah.
They do have these. You can pay like $5. They have these dryers. It's a big body dryer outside. They really don't work for anything. So, yeah, but this is another good time to say, you know, hey, we're actually going to go over. It's a hot day. We're going to go over. We're going to do these water rides. We're going to wear the light clothing, the 32-degree cool. We're going to even maybe just wear our bathing suits over there. In a
Some
swim
people
shirt,
do that. I've seen that.
because they'll usually dry out a lot quicker. That is something you can do. If you want to talk about quick drying clothes, bathing suits are quick drying. Just make sure that you're wearing undergarments underneath them. As I've discussed in the past, there are situations that can go on. There will be chafing involved. It is not comfortable whatsoever. That's when you wear the 32 degrees underwear, or the dry dudes is a really good like water sport type underwear, and they will dry very, very quickly. But that's why I used to wear bathing suits to the parks until I learned my lessons, because I didn't have much going on underneath it.
At first, when you said it, I was thinking, why would women wear underneath their but then I was realizing you were going with the men.
I was. Yes, I was going with some board
but
shorts.
if you are going to wear a bathing suit, please wear something over it.
Yeah, but you could easily wear something with a good cover up. You even have like the Roxy bathing suit shorts.
Yep.
You know, things like that you could certainly wear. What else do we have over at Universal Orlando Resort that'll get you a little splash and maybe cool you down a little bit?
Yeah, Jurassic Park River Adventure always does.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it is. It's not
kind of the perfect wetness.
Yeah, that one's not too bad. Like sometimes I don't feel like I get that wet at all on that, depending on where you're sitting. And then so 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish is just like the carpets where something's spitting at you and you might get wet. And of course there's splash zones at Universal, and just like not only is the soak station at Disney, but there's the one at Epcot too.
Yeah, you got a couple areas over there.
Yeah, and then in Universal City Walk, there's usually a big one. So there's
Disney Springs.
Has
some great areas for
so there's
it.
quite a few little places, and it's cute because I've even seen kids like in bathing suits and they're just hanging out.
Oh, they're going just for that.
Yeah.
I could, you know, I mean, it's been feels like forever since we've had young kids, but I can totally see that being at a resort. Like I can see you being at Stormalong Bay with young children at Yacht and Beach Club, and you're like, do you guys want to go to the pool? And they're like, no, we're so bored of that pool. Can we go to Disney Springs and run around that little splash area? And you're just like, put on your bathing suit. Let's go.
That's funny.
So I could totally see that. But, you know, hopefully all these ideas and tips and tricks are helpful. It is one of those things, you know, much like the rainy day, we totally understand that a lot of this is not groundbreaking news. You know, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised by telling us, you know, or us telling you to pack sunscreen. But we do hope that all this together just gets you better prepared, keeps you safe. You know, I've been on plenty of vacations, especially when I was younger, but old enough to go with friends to like the beach, that after one day I'm burnt to a crisp.
Yes.
I thought I knew better. I packed sunscreen. I applied it, never reapplied it, and literally have ended up at, you know, a minute clinic with horrible sunburns, you know, trying to get treated, and it can really change a trip.
Oh yeah.
And so just make sure that you're following these tips, even though they seem very easy and basic. Just, you know, be prepared for the heat.
Be prepared.
And don't let it keep you away either.
Yeah.
You know, now I totally understand, you know, there are some people that are like, look, I'm not going to Disney or Universal in the summer. I'm just not going to do it.
Yep.
And that is fair.
Yeah.
But if you're somebody who's thinking, well, is it really hot? Maybe I'll cancel my trip. Don't.
Yeah.
Follow these tips. Come, have a great time.
Yep.
Take your breaks, drink your water, use your sunscreen, enjoy it, and you will still have a lot of fun.
Yes.
Just as always, be prepared for it.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right. That is it for us this episode. Next episode, we will be bringing you our very first dining review of Le Cellier Steakhouse, which is shocking that we have yet to eat there. It's another one of those that has just always been on our radar. We just don't sit down a lot at Epcot. It is
Robin
time.
was funny. I told her tonight and she laughed at us.
Really? Because we've never been?
But
we're like the last two people on the planet to go that have been to Disney before, I feel like.
She did say that, like, there's so many places to eat. And I was like, yeah.
After this, we will dine at every sit-down and quick-service restaurant at Epcot. So might bring you an episode on where we rank them. And I will tell you all about the beef fat candle.
Okay.
Because that is what I'm super excited for.
Okay.
I like to browse a menu beforehand a little bit, but I don't really like to get into it. I like to kind of get there, get a menu, kind of almost be surprised. But I did do a quick amount of research on the charcuterie board, and I'm very glad that I did.
Okay.
Because
is that what
one
you're
of the
getting?
meat items is covered in a whole grain mustard, and then there's also a smear of mustard on the board. So I will know to request those on the side.
Because I want mine.
Yes, and you can
okay.
100% have them. I will just make a request for them on the side. So
Okay.
I was glad that I did my research because it is not listed within the description on the menu as far as it goes online. But we are super excited to bring you Le Cellier.
Yes.
We are going to be back home at Coronado Springs for our triumphant return to Three Bridges.
Yay.
We're very excited for. And then, end of the month, it's going to be really cool. We are renting a beachcomber shack at Typhoon Lagoon
So
to
excited.
kick off the summer. And we will bring that to you. We're going to see The Little Mermaid at AMC Disney Springs.
Mhm.
We're going to eat at Splitsville with an awesome group. We're doing a brunch on that Saturday before we come back. Possibly to be determined because I keep switching it around on what's available. But
you and breakfast.
I
now.
know. That's what Chuck said. He's like, you're becoming the breakfast guy. I said, I'm becoming the research guy. I really have been enjoying breakfast lately, though, and it's not something that's usually been what we do.
Yeah.
So big thanks to all our friends in these past couple episodes that have gotten us out to these brunches and breakfasts. So thank you guys. But that is it for us today. Hit that subscribe button. You get those brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And, we'd be very, very thankful if you could leave us a rating and review.
Because it helps our show grow.
That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.